All right. My name is Caitlin Mitchell. I am a digital strategy director at the Richards Group, and I specialize in social media. And I've been doing this about a decade, and it has been quite a ride. Things have obviously changed a lot over the last even 3 years. I've worked on all kinds of things from Coca-Cola to Home Depot to currently Keurig Dr. Pepper. So really happy to share with you a lot of what I've learned throughout my career, and I hope that it helps you as you go in to North Texas Giving Day. To start, what we're going to do today, so we'll first start with just an overview of the social media landscape. I find it's really helpful to just take a step back and kind of see where we are today and how things have evolved. Then we're going to go through a couple of different best practices for each individual social channel for how you guys will use this for North Texas Giving Day. And then I want to end on really making an impression and making sure that your content really stands out. So to start, let's start with the today's social media landscape. And this is one of my favorite slides. I think it really stands out. You'll notice that there are a lot of Fortune 500 companies up here on this slide. But what's interesting is since 2000, 52% of these companies have either gone bankrupt, they've been acquired, or they cease to exist. And there are a lot of reasons why this has come to be, but one of the main reasons is they were not able to keep up with how things were changing and how technology was moving forward. So a really great yet sad example is, think about Blockbuster. I mean, they had the chance to purchase Netflix. It was on their desk. They passed, and where is Blockbuster today? I know that there is a Twitter account, the Lone Blockbuster. So that's where they are. So don't be these guys. But what's important to know is even in the advertising industry, never before have we seen such rapid change. When you think about what our deliverables used to be, 10, 15 years ago, a big idea was, a TV spot, a 15, a 30, a 60. Maybe you're doing some on-premise, some radio, a billboard, a bus stop. And then we look at where we are today and how things have evolved to kind of put it into context. It took 38 years before 50 million people gained access to radios, 13 years before 50 million people gained access to television, a year and a half before 50 million people gained access to Instagram, just to show you the speed at which this has moved. And it's changed all our deliverables. And to be really honest, this deliverable list that you see on the right in red, it changes quarterly, it changes monthly. I mean, we're doing everything from in-feed stories, carousel ads, skippable bumpers, display, influencers, website search, you name it. This list has gotten really long to do an integrated campaign really well. But it helps to take a step back. I know the deliverable list can be a little bit overwhelming, and just look at how did we get here? How did things move so quickly in social media? Where did this all stem from? And I like to go back to Facebook because Facebook truly, really was the guinea pig with paid advertising. So, back in 2006, it was all about your fan base. Grow your following, get all of these fans here, and you could talk to them for free in 2006, which is like a marketer's dream. It was amazing talking to all of these people for free. But we don't pay for Facebook. Facebook went public. They had to figure out, hey, how are we going to make money? How are we going to monetize? So what they did was, hey, we know we told all you brands to gather these communities and buy all these fans, but now we're going to restrict your reach and you have to pay to play. So if you are not putting paid money behind your posts on Facebook, you are only reaching about 1 to 3% of your total audience. And this is huge because if you think about all of the resources that go into creating social media content, if you're creating a ton of content that's not being seen, that's not doing much for your organization. So really important to know you have to pay to play to do this well. And because of this, because of how Facebook has evolved their business model, other social platforms have really followed suit. No one's really playing the organic game anymore. They're immediately coming out with ad offerings. So because of this, ad spending has skyrocketed. So this is going to be a $34 billion industry by 2020. So a lot of scale here, a lot of movement happening. And when we're advertising in this environment, it's important to think about how the user is using these platforms. And oftentimes you'll hear a stat that, we have less of an attention span than a goldfish, which I'm not even sure how you measure the attention span of a goldfish. I never quite understood that. Anyone who knows that, hit me up after, because I'm curious. I don't think it's that we have less of an attention span than a goldfish. I don't think our attention is shrinking. It's just that it's selective. There's so many different devices that we have. There's so many different ways that we can be pulled that we're very selective about where we spend our time and where our attention goes. So it's really important that we keep this in mind when developing social media content. And a big portion of the type of content that we create is video. And when you think about video, you have to remember all video is skippable. Who in here skips ads? I skip ads too. Don't tell Stan Richards. But we can't wait to get to our content. If we're on YouTube and we're looking up a puppy video and we have to watch an ad, it's just annoying. So how can we make ads that aren't annoying that people really care about? And that starts with recognizing content is skippable, even paid content, and users have the choice if they want to skip you or not. So if you look at it kind of here, I think this helps a lot because I'm not just talking about YouTube. Your feeds, you can just fly right past a post and never even know who the advertiser was if you're not really utilizing creative best practices to stand out. So I'm going to show a couple of really great examples that tap into the skippable environment and try to capture your attention from Dr. Pepper.
I make the best times better. Oh, blasted skip button.
Do you need help, Dr. Pepper Chariot?
Don't look at me. Dr. Pepper Cherry, cherry on.
So this was crafted specifically for YouTube to run in front of a video, but it played right into that button, the skippable button. It knew the environment that it was going to be placed in and played to that. Another good example from Dr. Pepper as well, I don't know how many of you know Little Sweet, but he's basically our spokesperson for Diet Dr. Pepper. And, we found an innovative way to kind of hack the feed. So here you see Little Sweet liking himself. And Facebook didn't let us do this. This is just a video that we created, and it's a complete hack of the feed. But you have to find innovative ways like this to be able to stand out and really capture people's attention. It's really important. And so in thinking through creating video content and standing out and making sure people aren't skipping you, I think it's helpful to think about your narrative. So before you go and shoot a video, really think about the type of video that you're putting out and how you're going to hook people. And if we think about traditional narratives, so I'll show you an example here in just a second, but typically you have a lead-in, a build, a big reveal, there's an offer, and then there's some branding. And this really doesn't work in today's digital environment because 5 seconds in, if you don't know who it's from and it didn't hook you, you're out. So to show you an example of this, I'm going to show you an ad that ran on TV. It was not for digital, but try to guess who this brand is.
Rick Blomquist of De Pere, Wisconsin. His life is pretty comfortable.
So we're 5 seconds
he lives in
in,
a comfy
no clue
home,
who the brand is.
wears comfortable shoes. He even has a comfortable job. Rick Blomquist thought he had
Midway
comfort
through,
all
still don't know
figured
who
out.
the brand is.
But then he laid on a Serta and realized his life was only just sorta comfortable.
I've been living a lie.
The new Serta iComfort hybrid mattress. Not just sorta comfortable, Serta comfortable.
So not trying to pick on Serta, but kind of picking on Serta. If you look at this, you can see how this wouldn't work in digital. You don't know who it's from. It goes on and on. There is no really clear hook. This could never work in a digital environment. And a lot of advertisers, nonprofits, brands, even Hollywood is starting to take cues for how to make this better. So to show you a lesson from Hollywood, when you think about the evolution of movie trailers, how they used to be, the first 5 seconds used to be just this screen, which this also would not fly today in digital environment. Then the next 6 to 10 seconds were then this screen. Then the 11 to 30 second mark, you start to know what movie it is, and then slowly the action builds up, and you see this following that traditional
You'd like to come and see the world
narrative.
with me.
You mean it?
Well, now Hollywood is really developing their trailers for an emerging story arc. They no longer can do that because that's not going to work. That's not going to capture people's attention. So when we're crafting video, they're thinking about how do we start high? How do we have subtle brand cues, unexpected shifts, multiple peaks, and then make you want to, go visit a landing page or go check out additional bonus content somewhere else to really, get a good feel for what the movie is doing. And so if you take a look at movie trailers today, you can see the difference. Very quick, straight to the point, a lot of action in front, hits you with the movie, 3 to 4 seconds in, and that's it. And this is the type of content that Hollywood and Netflix and everyone is running on social, and you can see why it's working. Immediately captures you, you understand what's going on. So with all of that said, we know we're in a skippable environment, we know we have all of these challenges, especially with video and crafting our story. How are we gonna use social for North Texas Giving Day? First off, I'm sure everyone's really familiar with the theme, Get Up and Give. We went through a lot of the great resources that you can tap into on the site. When I kind of put the plan together of the key phases to focus on, and this is totally a suggestion, feel free to take this and make it your own, but I started with, okay, from now to 8:10, you could really run save the date messages. So just driving awareness around the event and that you want your donors to participate. The Why I Give hashtag is a great way for a crowdsourced opportunity for people to fundraise for you. So, having your donors, put out messages of why I give and using our filter and kind of educating them on that could help a lot for really rallying people to motivate. So you could do this from now up until Giving Day. Then, of course, we have the fundraising pages. The peer-to-peer fundraising is 8/1 to 9/19, where you could really push that with scheduled giving running 9/9 to 9/19. Of course, we have Giving Day, the day of. We want to drive donations. And then you can do some sort of event recap. So this is totally just my stab at how I would kind of look at planning out this campaign with different posts and where you would need to craft content. So with that said, these are the channels that I would recommend we would also use. So Facebook, Instagram Stories, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I'll walk through some best practices of how you can really make the most of them. And I'll start with Facebook and Instagram. So I put them together, one, because Facebook owns Instagram, but there's a lot of similarities between them that can be really helpful when crafting content, especially if you want to repurpose. So to start with some quick hits on Facebook, 1 billion users access it on mobile. So you have to be crafting content that is mobile first to stand out. There's 38 minutes per day spent on Facebook. And then there's a high prevalence among all age groups. So each age group has 50% or more of their total age group on Facebook. So you're really going to cover the gamut when you're on Facebook and reach a lot of people. For Instagram, there's 1 billion monthly active users. So 63% of US adults are using the app every single day. There's 27 minutes on average spent on Instagram, especially for those who are under 25. And this is really promising, especially for all of us in this room. 75% take an action after seeing a post. So, they're driven to a website, they shop, or they tell a friend about what they have seen. And when we look at the two feeds, they're definitely similar, but there are some differences. So the first thing is they're both moving very fast. They're frequent. People are checking them up to 14 times per day. You're in a sound-off environment, so that's really important with crafting video because you can't just rely on sound. You need to somehow incorporate text. And when we think about the differences, Instagram is a little bit more passion-focused. So you have people following hashtags, you have them following influencers and content that they're really passionate about. And when we look at some key considerations for crafting content for them, I'll walk through a few of these. So first, tell your story visually. This is huge. 85% of video is played without sound on Facebook. So here in this example, you can see, just complementing, that didn't play. There you go. Just complementing the visuals with text overlay helps a lot. Guide people through the image or the video that you're presenting so they know what content they are about to kind of take in. Use text and graphics to help deliver your message. So this is a fun example of where the graphics kind of come through. Leverage subtitles with videos. So if you do have a script, make sure you're leveraging that. And then make sure your text is less than 20% of the visual. So if this is on a video and you're promoting it and you have a lot of text, Facebook will flag that as spam. It will let you choose a cover frame, and you'll just have to make sure that cover frame is less than 20% of text. The next tip is keep it simple. So again, people are flying through these feeds. Make sure that you have one key message and that you are delivering on it. So you need to capture attention in the first 2 to 3 seconds, like we talked about with that emerging story arc narrative. Focus on really short, easy to digest content. And try to keep it under 15 seconds. If you have a reason to go long form, absolutely do it. I don't want to discourage anyone from doing that, but make sure that there is a reason for people to really hang on to that long form piece of content. Another great tip is just maximizing your real estate. So everyone is on mobile, they're on their feeds, going through Facebook, not desktop. So developing your assets for a 1x1 or 4x5 dimension is huge. You can see just on the screen how much more space it takes up. And that's just a quick, easy kind of tip to help you stand out within the feed when you're competing with all of this content. There's a lot of different ad types that you can consider running for North Texas Giving Day. The top 3 that I would recommend is 1, video is great. That's going to be more of the KPI for awareness and views. You want someone to view the piece of content that you're putting out there. Photos are really for engagement, and then the link carousel ad types are to drive site traffic. So leveraging those, especially the day of, is going to be very important. You can, within the back end of Facebook, go into Facebook Creative Hub. And if any of you haven't visited this, I highly recommend it. It's an awesome resource to mock posts up. But you can build out your link ads. So here you see, we have a 1x1 aspect ratio dimension. And then in the back end, you're able to customize and add the donate button and put all of the bells and whistles on your post that you need to within Creative Hub. So please take a look at that resource. It's great. And it's provided for free from Facebook. We also have a Facebook event. So this was just started last week. So make sure to share this to your pages, encourage your donors and everyone to share this on their own personal pages, just to make sure that we're getting involved and the community is more than aware on the day of that it is North Texas Giving Day. There's no mistaking it. Facebook Live, I do think the day of and possibly before, if you have a compelling reason to go live, I think it could be a great thing to do. I've seen some previous examples a few years ago here in this room from nonprofits that took advantage of it in a really great way. You are able to now add a donate button to your live videos if you're a verified page on Facebook and have gone through that process. The one thing to keep in mind is if you do add the Donate Now button, it's not going to link to the North Texas Giving Day website or anything like that. So this is just more a good tip for you to know in general to leverage. Now moving on to Instagram. So again, Instagram and Facebook are a little similar in their ad type. So you can leverage image. You can have a carousel ad type where you can tap through up to 10 different images, or you can do a video, and this can be up to 60 seconds. And keep in mind when you're in feed, again, it's going to be sound off for Instagram as well. A couple key features to take advantage of on Facebook, which was mentioned earlier, is the profile picture frames. So if you go to your profile, click Update Profile Picture. This will walk you through exactly how to do it. You'll have the option to upload photo or add a frame. You'll click Add a Frame, and then you're able to search for the North Texas Giving Day 2019 frame to then put within your profile. So a really easy, simple way to get involved and show people what you're doing. Hashtags. So I would definitely say Instagram is way more hashtag friendly than Facebook. So if you search the North Texas Giving Day hashtag, you'll see a bunch of posts come up. It rates the top posts by the amount of traction that it got. So make sure that you are just kind of paying attention to this. People can also follow the hashtag. So you could follow multiple nonprofits the day of if it's being leveraged, and it'll show you kind of the real-time feed of what's going on with people using that hashtag. Moving on to Instagram stories. So we do break out Instagram stories as a little bit different because the creative you develop for it will be different. To start with some quick hits, there's 500 million stories posted daily. Incredible amount. 31% of users post every month. 47% of users watch stories at least weekly. And brands make up 1/3 of the top viewed stories, which is a great stat for us. People are watching and engaging with branded content within stories. When thinking about how the stories feed works, again, it is different from the Facebook and Instagram in feed. So there's more of a raw content feel with Instagram stories, and you are able to go full screen, and it is sound on. So that is a big distinction to kind of think through when developing your creative. You're going vertical, and it is sound on. A couple key considerations for creating Instagram stories. So people are really used to not seeing super polished content on Instagram stories. You can have more of a user-generated content feel. So be sure to tap into that, leverage the sound on feature. There's a lot of different native tools and text overlays that you can play with and get really creative. And also consider sharing UGC. And if you have donors that are posting and you want to share an awesome post that they did, feel free to do that. That's a great way to kind of make your donors feel a part of your nonprofit and really feel a part of the community. Another great tip is, capture attention and keep it, which has kind of been a key theme of today, but users in stories can easily skip content, way easier than in feed. In feed, you are scrolling past it. Stories, you can just tap right through, so you have less than 3 seconds to stand out. You really have to get everything you're looking for in the first second, focus on that short, digestible content. You can use multiple frames, though, to tell a longer story. So you can see here in this example, they're back. You can see them leveraging text overlay, kind of talking users through, the piece of content that they have, and then where to get this pan. And then this is kind of a fun way to use video too, tapping to change different colors. There's just a lot that you can do to get really creative with how you want to leverage a lot of their native features. The vertical space is huge in Instagram stories, and it can really allow you to be really creative. I loved these examples. I pulled them from Adweek, but it shows you just how you can leverage video and different mesmerizing things to really pull you in. This one's kind of fun. Hey, Nick, you use way too much icing. Challenge accepted. You see the icing go all the way to the top. There's just a lot of creative applications for how you can use the vertical space and make sure that you really stand out in this environment. There's also additional features that you can use to really amplify your creative. So Jiffy stickers are huge within Instagram stories. If you do have over 10,000 followers and you're verified, you can do a swipe up and actually drive to North Texas Giving Day site. You can do polls and emoji stickers, and they recently released a donation sticker, which is pretty great. So you should play right here. It'll show you, this video shows you how to get to it, but you can search different nonprofits, and if you're verified, you'll pull up. Again, this is just kind of a nice to know. This won't drive donations through the North Texas Giving Day site, but it could drive donations for your nonprofit, so we definitely wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Moving on to Twitter. So I definitely would say Twitter should be on a lower priority of where you should focus your attention for social media, because it really is a news channel, a real-time news channel with how things are trending and going on throughout the day. So it makes a lot of sense the day of, but I wouldn't put a ton of time and energy throughout the whole campaign. But there are 500 million tweets per day, 93% of users access it on mobile, and 31% of users are more likely to recall what they see. And this, likely could be because they're very engaged when there's a real-time trending thing happen. Just like the other feeds, this moves really fast. Visuals stand out and pop to you. It's all about cultural relevancy, and it's very conversation focused. A couple ways to leverage Twitter for crafting content here is, again, capture attention quickly, utilize images, keep your copy concise and to the point. Users are 3 times more likely to engage with videos and photos and tweets than just plain text. So make sure you're really leveraging media here. And start a conversation. Again, this is a real-time news channel, so especially the day of North Texas Giving Day, post your progress, let people know what's going on. You can include all of the relevant hashtags that we talked through. You can interact with your audience through polls and asking different questions. So there's a lot of different creative ways that you can start a conversation and really build relationships on Twitter. And then, of course, hashtags are very prevalent on Twitter, so highly recommend using the hashtag throughout your campaign. And polls. And then here's just some stats on incorporating media, so where you'll go to do it. Again, no more than 2 hashtags per tweet. You can have a link if you need to say more. People are 3 times more likely to engage with a visual and utilize open-ended questions. And then the last channel that we're going to walk through is a channel that I think is really underrated and that I still think has a lot of room to grow and for people to get really creative with, and that's LinkedIn. It is a huge channel, so 630 million users in 200 countries. 50% of users visit LinkedIn every month, and posts with images see double the amount of comments. So again, the theme of you really have to stand out with photos and videos. Some key considerations here is leverage your team and your employees and their networks for awareness. Don't just think about the different content that you can just do on your nonprofit's brand page, but how can your executives get involved on their own personal LinkedIn pages to really help your cause and push things forward? And create in-depth content to maximize reach. So people are spending a little bit more time and leaning into LinkedIn content. They're more likely to read blogs and articles. So figure out creative ways to craft longer form content here. This is going to be a great channel for that. So there are company pages. So if your nonprofit doesn't have a company page, I highly recommend going to set this up. You can leverage a variety of different pieces of content for it. So you can do photos with links, you can do video, you can do articles, or you can do a slide share if you have content. How you'll do your updates is you'll go to post, click update. You're able to add an image. LinkedIn recommends to do hashtags. That was a recent update last year, so make sure you put North Texas Giving Day. And you can tie different topics to your article as well. And ask people for responses. Get them to engage with you. Find ways to tag them and really get them involved. Videos. This is definitely a sound off environment as well, so make sure you keep that in mind when crafting content. You can add text overlays and take advantage of different things that are similar to Instagram stories. You'll kind of notice throughout all of these channels, they kind of start to copy each other and incorporate a lot of their features. Articles, I think, are majorly underutilized, and we put in a great example from Big Thought. So Brian Sanders doing a article around 10 reasons to give to Big Thought on North Texas Giving Day. And this was a great article, really in depth. Articles, you can be more long form. So they do best when they're more than 3 paragraphs, so about 800 to 2,000 words. You can add a cover image and make sure that you're standing out. You could even do a video if you wanted, or a GIF. And keep your voice authentic. Think of it as a two-way publishing. And again, don't just think about your company pages, but think about how your executives can really leverage this as well. So to kind of cap out how we'll leverage all of these channels, Facebook, we saw the stats on how people are really leveraging Facebook to drive to the North Texas Giving Day. It's a huge referral for all of us in here. So drive traffic here, use it for awareness, use it as the main place to invest in your content and to really bring new donors in. Instagram is going to be all about creating that visual inspiration and awareness around North Texas Giving Day. Stories is, again, that more raw feel. It's going to be more behind the scenes. Really great to leverage kind of the day of and give people, a peek inside, your war room. Twitter, great for building relationships and, utilizing the hashtag and trends to really jump into. And then LinkedIn, a great resource for thought leadership and a great way to get your executives involved. And my overall recommendation too is, maximize your resources. And I would say this to any company. Fewer, bigger, better. Do fewer channels and pieces of content. Just pick a couple channels. Don't feel like you even need to do all of these. Pick the ones that make the most sense for your organization to go after. Make sure you have a media spend behind it. It doesn't have to be significant. You can do as few as $20 on Facebook, but make sure that there is some media behind it and that you're being targeted on who you're reaching. And that'll result in high quality, better creative that you can push out if you're able to maximize your resources. So all of these best practices and everything is really great, but I wanted to end on making an impression. And I think that this concept is pretty interesting of that, conversations are greater than impressions. And what do I mean by that? So, here's a lot of, great soda content that's up here, all following best practices. And best practices are great because when you're putting paid dollars behind your content, it ensures that your impression is valuable and it's going to be seen and not skipped through. But best practices don't ensure that your content matters. I can sit here all day and give you all kinds of different tips, but that's not going to ensure that people care about the content that you put out. So it's important to go back and really think about what made social media great in the first place. It's people that decide what matters in social media, not brands. So really figuring out for your organization, what do your donors care about? What do your donors want to hear about? What stories want to be crafted? Really kind of think through even doing mini focus groups with, those that you are talking to get good ideas. Talk to the real users that are using these platforms to make sure that you're not just screaming on these platforms and no one is listening. And a really great filter that I put on any piece of content that we put out at the Richards Group is making sure that to be worthy of attention, you have to create an ownable brand moment. And so to me, that's you look at what does the world care about, what does your brand care about, what does your target care about, and in that sweet spot, that's really where you're gonna find the really great content that you wanna go after. And I think leveraging focus groups and the real donors and the real people that you're trying to reach, it's a great way to do this. But ultimately, when we looked at that deliverables list, when we look at really great integrative campaigns, this is what I think really rings true. Today's big ideas should lead to meaningful concepts that reach real people, not ads that go ignored, skipped, or blocked. These are meaningful brand actions that actually engage us. They get people thinking, laughing, even crying. This is something you would want to spend valuable time with, something you would talk about, something your friends would talk about. That is social energy. And really, North Texas Giving Day is one big brand action. I'm challenging you all, go and figure out what is your brand action for your nonprofit. How are you going to stand out and how are you going to make people care? Thank you.